was actually going through seminars, and I took a seminar called PSI seminars, founded by this man, Thomas Wilhite. And this is actually a picture of my very ancient manual that started me on the philosophies to learn how to be successful. And I wanted success really badly in my
正
early
在
20s.
录制该会议。
And if you go to the next one, in this philosophy, I started to understand our topic of tonight, which is to think
录制
is
已停止。
or thoughts are things. And so tonight I'm going to be talking about these incredible concepts. And I met during this time 2 years of heavy studies. I actually was realizing that I had to program my mind. So I would put earpieces in my ears. I would record like 60 or 80 positive affirmations like, I am organized, I am disciplined, I am successful, I am strong, I am persistent, I finish everything I do. I put all of these positive affirmations and I recorded it at that time on cassette, Walkman, and I would play it auto reverse. That means it was playing both sides of the tape back and forth in my ears as I slept every night. I was trying to program my mind. And they say when you are ready, your teacher will appear. And for me, my teacher named Joseph Green appeared. Joseph Green, born in 1897, he was taught directly by Napoleon Hill. He had decades of time with Napoleon Hill. And in the 40s and 50s, he was teaching Dale Carnegie classes. And then he started a cycle of teaching for 2 years and then working for 5 years. And he called the work working on the philosophy of the success very similar to honing a sword to refine the technique of the philosophy of success. And then with that very sharp blade, he would teach just a few students. At 88 years old, when I met him in 1986, he took 6 main students on, and I was one of the 6 on the first day of his class. And I spent 2 years of time with him as he taught individual chapters of Think and Grow Rich. But during this series, I'm not going to be only talking about what I learned from the book. Actually, more of the information I'm going to be talking about what I learned from my mentor and how to apply this concept into your life from my experience. And how do I know that I learned from my mentor the right things? Results in my life, earning over $34 million in commissions, being able to build a multi-million-dollar home with no money, being able to travel around the world. So tonight I'm going to be explaining the application of the philosophy of success. And then we are going to next week give you the number 1 key. So all achievements are earned. Riches have their beginning in an idea. And this is what we're going to be talking about this particular philosophy of success. And I want to talk about where this comes from in the book Think and Grow Rich. Because yes, it comes from the book Think and Grow Rich, but it really comes from a man named Andrew Carnegie. At the time, the richest man in the world. If you took it to right now, our money, it would be about $360 billion. That is the richest man ever to live, was worth at this point 400 billion. I mean, this far exceeds any of the richest men right now. So he was worth $320 billion, and he had an idea. And the idea was that there were some principles that made people rich. There were some philosophies and 13 main laws that you could learn to become rich. And he practiced these laws, but he wanted, in the later part of his life, he was a philanthropist. He was giving away hundreds of millions of dollars in those days, in his time. And so he was building many things for the public. But the biggest thing he wanted to give away was the philosophy of how to be rich, how to get successful. And he wanted to do this. And a guy named Napoleon Hill was a reporter, came to interview him, and he was enamored with Napoleon Hill. He was enthralled that this reporter seemed to have what it might take. So he offered a very special offer. He told Napoleon Hill, I will make the appointments with the richest and most powerful people in the world. And he kind of casually tossed the idea of this philosophy into Napoleon Hill's lap. He had a watch under his table, as my mentor told me, and he started the watch. If Napoleon Hill didn't capture the idea quickly, he would withdraw the offer. 36 seconds. Napoleon Hill dedicated the next 20 years of his life to study the most richest and powerful men in the world. People like, at that time, Henry Ford, William Wrigley, Harvey Firestone, Gillette. Maybe some of these names you recognize from the brands. All of these of the most richest and most powerful men. At the time, Andrew Carnegie was so powerful. If he called the president of the United States and said, I would like you to meet this reporter named Napoleon Hill for 2 hours, the president of the United States would say, okay, what time would you like me to meet him? He was that capable, that powerful. And so he arranged all of the meetings. He paid for the travel, but did not pay Napoleon Hill for his time. Napoleon Hill had to figure out other ways to earn, and this is what he did during this time. So tonight, I'm going to be sharing a little bit about my story. And my story really begins in Hawaii. I was born in Hawaii. This is my favorite toy. And, I was born with a handicap caused by drugs given to my mom during the birth process. It was a drug for morning sickness. And this drug caused tens of thousands of kids to be born without arms and maybe just little flippers. In fact, I'm missing some fingers. You can see that on this hand. I'm missing a leg, and I have a very short stump. So, but generally speaking, I was a pretty happy kid. If you get to the next slide, I always I think God take away something, give you something. And for me, that was this smile on my face. As long as I can remember, I had this smile. But I had to wear this helmet all the time because I'd be walking along and suddenly my leg wasn't there and I would be on the floor or I would be at the top of the steps and then, just step to the edge and my leg wasn't there and I would be at the bottom of the step in a second. And so because of this, wearing the helmet and everything, but I was actually quite fortunate in my early childhood. You go to the next slide. I was an Easter Seals poster child, and for many countries that may not make sense. And Laura, if you can see my screen, you can see what slide I'm on. It's the one before. I was traveling. I got to travel as an Easter Seals poster child. That means I represented this nonprofit for crippled children. And I was selected, maybe because of my smile, to represent the cause in the entire United States. That means I flew from Hawaii, which is an extremely long flight, to Los Angeles. I got to go all the way to Washington, D.C., and meet the President of the United States and to represent crippled children around the US. So I had a lot of fame right from the beginning, and I had a pretty good life. I went to Disneyland, and when I went to Disneyland, I got to cut in front of all of the lines. So, you can imagine I was a pretty happy child. I was doing really well. And then I went to my first day of school, elementary school, with my helmet on. And all of the kids ran away from me. You're a monster. You're a robot. And all the kids were teasing me. And on my first day of school, I can remember sitting down in my chair, 4 girls sitting next to me saying, crying because they were afraid of me. And kids can be quite cruel. I remember they figured out that when I'm standing, if they just push me a little from the left, I would fall like a tree and they would run away and I could never catch them. And I couldn't do the normal things of a kid, like playing basketball, running around, baseball, football. Any of those normal sports were not really available to me. I couldn't run. But it's really funny. I couldn't run, so I had to build really nice kites. I would build the kites perfectly so they could fly without a tail. And I'd hold it up to the wind and I could catch the wind and I could fly it. And everybody came to me all around the neighborhood to have me build their kites. And I could play yo-yos. And you will see that in my future, the biggest difficulties that you face will become your biggest asset. And I love to surf because I could not run, but once I got in the water, I could swim as fast as anybody else. And I could surf as good as anyone else. The difficulty, getting in the water. Every time I would hop down the beach, I would be stared at by people on the beach. They would all be staring at me and looking as I was hopping into the water. And I hated that feeling. Maybe you remember as a child, as a teenager, as a high school, being stared at. And I hated that feeling. But I had to decide, was I going to do what I love to do? Or was I going to let what other people think or do control what I love to do? And I was not the best student in high school. My mom was so happy when I graduated on time. but I surfed almost every day. And why I tell you this story is because if you really decide to be at the top, to really succeed, you will have to decide whether it is worth it. And I'm sure people will say you're crazy. And I always say, crazy people, crazy income. It's okay to be crazy, to be obsessed. And we're going to be teaching you how to have this kind of mind that is so focused and so obsessed at the thing that you want. So we're going to be talking about this philosophy of success today. The main point, thoughts are things. The main point, chapter 1 of the book. So on the next slide, it says the focused mind power is one of the strongest forces in the world. A focused mind. And I'm going to tell you the first lesson. So I'm during this next few days, when we're going through this, I want you to realize that you cannot learn this from me. One of the greatest understandings you must gain is you must decide to do it and learn it on yourself with your own effort. And I'm going to be talking over and over about this process because my mentor didn't say just read the book, you're going to be successful. He taught us the philosophy of success by practice. And you will have to start to challenge yourself. And I challenge you to get a really good notebook and start a journal for yourself this next week. The philosophy of success happens between the seminars. The work, I'm going to assign you homework every night, the same way as my mentor gave me homework. You're going to have homework so you can learn the philosophy of your success. And when we start to do different activities, maybe I'm doing an activity of how to get up in the morning. You need to practice those things. And during the seminar, even if it sounds crazy, and I tell you to scream like Tony Robbins, like, yes, 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 I want you to be in your house doing it with me. Let's practice that real quick. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Hold your hand out like this. Yes, yes, yes. Everybody do it together. Okay, this is what I'm talking about. You have to actively participate with the program. And without that, it's just going to be knowledge through the brain, nothing. It will be worthless. You have to practice and do the homework assignments that we assign you. So I'm going to talk about my first story. And this is my mentor was pretty wise. And he said, Alan, what kind of car do you want? Being in my early 20s, of course, I wanted a car. And I said, well, I want a Lincoln Continental. I don't know why that car was so important to me, but it was such a big, beautiful luxury car. And at the time, I was driving an old Ford. And so my mentor told me, Alan, I'm going to teach you how to get your Lincoln Continental. How would you care for that Lincoln? I said, well, I would polish it every week. I'd wash it, I'd vacuum, polish the seats, I would polish the chrome rims. I would take care of it. Said, what kind of gas would you put in it? Premium, of course, right? Okay, do that with your car. And I was like, it's my car? Oh, My car is an old Ford with just rust all over the roof with holes. Every time I would drive, the water would come pouring down on my lap. Do you know what a car smells like when it has water in it all the time? It smells so bad, looks so bad. That was my car. And I was like, no matter what my mentor said, I'd do immediately. So let me see if I'm gonna drop back a little bit so you guys can see me here. So I actually got, I went to the car shop and I got all of the supplies. Can you imagine? I was polishing the holes on the top of the roof. I was
limpiando los agujeros,
polishing the rim.
limpiando
Some of the rims had caps, and some of the rims didn't even have caps.
Estaba limpiando en algunas.
I don't know why, Eric, but here Laura translating now. What happened?
Levantamos, por favor.
Yeah. Somebody unmuted their phone and we can hear Laura translating. Javier, maybe. Anyway, so what happened was I was taking care of this old Ford. I remember pretending. So I would sit down, he was teaching us a lesson. So he said, okay, when you drive your car, how do you drive a Lincoln? And I was like, oh, it's a luxury car. I would roll down the window and, you know, it was still the crank kind of window, but I would pretend that I'm pressing a button and I would make the noise. When I would move my seat, I'd be like, move my seat, but I would pretend it was a power seat and I would be like, and that's how I actually pretended in my mind to have a Lincoln. Do you know that there is a spray that you can buy that makes a car smell new? I was like, with both hands, I changed the mats on the floor because my mats were black. My carpet was black from all of the mold. And I started to take care of my car, driving it. I would go to the gas station until the attendant would come. Yes, can I help you? Can you fill up my Lincoln with premium? The attendant would look at me like, you're gonna fill this car with premium gas? Yes, fill my Lincoln with premium. And roll up the window. And every day I was taking care of my old Ford and not really understanding. It was like Karate Kid, like wax on, wax off, not understanding what my mentor was trying to do. But I set a goal to buy this Lincoln, and in 4 months, I was driving my Lincoln. And it was that time when I got my Lincoln for the first time. Guess what the first thing I did was? That's right, wash and polish my Lincoln. I hope you guys are answering. Okay? I want you guys to answer when I'm talking with you guys on that side, okay? As I wash the Lincoln, and you can see that the Lincoln has a really sharp, long hood with a sharp edge. And I was washing the Lincoln and coming around the edge. And as I went around the edge, suddenly I was like, oh my God, I've done this before in my mind. and I figured out what my mentor was teaching me. There is a secret to visualizing your success. And I'm going to teach it to you right now. The secret, you visualize with all of your senses, not just with, you visualize with all of your senses. So that means you see it, you feel it, you hear it, you smell it, you taste it, and you touch it. You have to work with all of your senses to make this visualization. So, yes, thoughts are things, but it's not just a thought. It is transferring that through the five senses of your mind. And you have to transfer that thought into the very special magic genie inside of you. So we're going to be talking about this magic genie tonight and how, and then next week we're going to program our magic genie. So of course, Mr. Phil Chun over here says it this way. I love it. I am one of his disciples. I followed him around the world to do seminar after seminar, and I started to write down all of the philosophy of success. And this one right here, see your success before you succeed. Visualize the perfect end result. Dream. There is a power in dream. And we're going to be talking about this in the next month, about this emotional power that will really pump up your ability to have a burning desire for what it is you want. And this is to find your dream. Success is never an accident. It is a deliberate creation that first happens in our mind. And one of the most important strategies you have to learn is how to see what isn't is more important than what is. Most people live a life where they're seeing what is in their life. This is the way my family is. This is the way my money is. This is the way life is. Everything is what is. And one of the greatest secrets, if you're writing notes, write this down, is to blind yourself a little of what is, so you can start seeing what isn't. And when you can see what isn't is more clear than what is, you get what isn't. And what is disappears. And so tonight, we're going to be working on this philosophy of success and starting with. So, how did I start this? Well, I started in my kite store. I had, at that time, I was selling about $80 a day of kites. And my mentor told me, first of all, he told me, you have to pay yourself. And I wasn't, because I was losing money every day. He said, I don't care. You need to pay yourself. And then you need to set a goal, how much you need to make so you can pay yourself more. And then I want you to set a goal you don't think you can achieve. This is so important for the philosophy of success. To set a goal you don't think you can achieve. And what that really meant to me was, I was selling $80 a day. To sell $2,000 a day seemed impossible to me. And so he said, that's great. Let's set a goal like that to prove Listen to these words carefully. To prove you have a force, this magic genie inside of you. And this genie is going to help you to have anything you want. And the way he said it was so confident that I said, okay, let's try. And I found the magic genie. The next slide. This magic genie inside of us, an amazing magic genie that, remember the genie in the lamp, that example? That little genie inside of the lamp, and a big blue genie appears. And what does the genie say? Your wish is my command. I hope the translators can get that. Say it the way I said it, okay? Your wish is my command. And that giant blue genie towering over you, and you're like, Genie, I want $1 million. Your wish is my command. But I don't know how. Your wish is my command. Do you hear the problem? We make a wish and we cancel the wish as fast as we make it. And we have to learn to control our mind. Thoughts are things, but it can be as negative or it could be positive. Look at the next screen. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you are right. You can produce or you can be a detriment to yourself. It's all part of how this works. So tonight, I want you to start to become aware of when you close the door of your mind to negative thoughts, the door of opportunity opens. If you're looking at coronavirus every day, if you're looking at all of the difficult things, that's what you're going to get more of. You have to close the door. My mentor didn't let me look at television news or radio or any kind of music or anything. We just focused our mind on what it is we wanted. We listened to personal development lectures, and that's all we put in our mind all day long. So I have the first homework assignment, and besides getting your notebook, is to decide to turn off the television to coronavirus and just focus on what it is that you want this week. You have to limit the amount of input of negative. And my mentor said, put 0 in, put only positive thoughts in, and your life will change. The magic genie is listening all the time. Do not sleep with the TV on. The magic genie is awake while you are sleeping. And so, this is, in America, it would have commercials like, it's cold and flu season, or wash your hands, you're going to get this virus, or whatever it's saying. And all of those negative inputs inhibit your success. So just remember that the genie is always listening. Next week, we're going to be talking about some of the most powerful
Yo no lo escucho.
Seems like we lost him for a second. If you guys just want to be patient, we'll be... Oh, okay.
Hi.
There you are.
I have this one on.
Okay.
Can you tell Eric to turn on this one? Hey, Eric, can you see me on this one?
Yep, you're good. We got you. You're good to go.
Eric.
Yeah, Alan, you're good to go.
Can you tell Eric to put me? Oh, he can't hear you.
Yeah, we could see you, Alan. You're good.
Can you see me, guys?
We can see you and we can hear you, Alan.
Baby,
Eric,
can you see me?
Eric, you're on mute.
No, I have two. He can hear me. Alan, I think you gotta unmute your device.
Okay, I'm unmute. I'm unmuted.
No, okay. Can you hear us now?
Can you see this? Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, we're good, Alan. You're good. You're good to go.
Sorry.
Okay.
We kicked out the cord. Lucky I had a second phone on over here.
Perfect. No problem. You're good to go.
Okay. So this is really the key. If you flip the next slide for me. A goal is a dream with a deadline. So we're going to be doing a very specific process to write your goals and to get a really specific deadline to get your dreams to work. So, in the first chapter, so this week you're going to be reading the first 3 chapters in the book, Think and Grow Rich. That's going to be your homework assignment, to read the first 3 chapters. And this next slide shows Edwin C. Barnes wanted to have a job, not a job actually, to be a partner with Thomas Edison. And the things that he had to do, he was willing to pay the price to ride on the rails of a railroad car. When we were with my mentor, it was incredible, the stories he told us. And you think about the railroad cars and like maybe jumping inside of the car. They did not jump in the car. They were riding on the rails. That means under the axle of the train. So he was filthy dirty when he went to see Thomas Edison. And yet the burning desire in his eyes showed that he wanted to work with Edison and was willing to do anything, even cleaning the office for more than 2 years to get the opportunity of a lifetime to sell a device that nobody else wanted to sell. He became a multimillionaire at a time when becoming a millionaire was incredibly rich. And he sold thousands of these units. So tonight we're going to talk about thoughts or things. And I can give you the example of what happened for me. So I started to fly kites. I was a kite flyer because I owned the kite business. But we started to get a dream to become the world champion in kite flying. And that book that you see to the left, that's the book I wrote. Now, it's written in Japanese, you can see that, because we won our 2nd world championship in Odawara, Japan. Now, I want to talk about that book because I sat in my home with a pen in my hand day after day. Twice a week was my time to write the book. And I sat there for at least an hour every time with no ideas coming to my head. You have to be willing to pay the price. You're telling your genie, I want a book. But nothing came to me day after day after day, 1 month. And finally, one night, I got all of the chapter titles came to me. All of the chapter titles. The table of contents. By the next day, the entire book was written. It's amazing how this process works. But you have to have trust and faith. You have to decide, and you have to have a type of determination. And so in the next few weeks, we're going to show you what gives you that kind of determination. The next page. And here you see us practicing our routines. We flew aerial ballets to music. So that means we'd fly our kites and we'd do like the Blue Angels precision acrobatics, all choreographed to music. And those sticks are what we use to practice. Those have little kite images on the end, and we'd practice our entire routines before doing it in our minds. The next slide. And we became the world champion, first in Bristol, England, next in Odawara, Japan, and third in Berkeley, California. My goal was, once I got my goal to sell $2,000 of kites a day and I achieved it, which was incredible, my next goal was to travel around the world. And by becoming a world champion, people paid us to travel around the world. You don't need to know how. Write that down. You only need to know what it is you want, not how to get it. So I came back from all of my kite tours and I didn't have money, but some alarm rang inside of me. If you turn to the next page, and that alarm was, you need a home. And I went to a real estate agent. I applied, they had me fill out all of these forms. And they said, what have you been doing all of these years? I don't know if you know the life of a kite flyer. It's kind of the life of a rock and roll star, drinking all night and flying kites all day. Well, that was my lifestyle. And so I said, well, I want a beautiful home. They said, you cannot afford it. 6 months, I was looking at the worst looking homes, like the concrete jungle, maybe a studio you can afford. I didn't want it. I finally fired my real estate agent and I found a mentor of mine, actually a coach, a success coach. She also sold real estate. And she told me something completely different. She said, just find the place where you want to live. If you find a place, you want to look at it, I will find the keys. I don't care if it's $6 million, $10 million, I will get you the keys and we'll go and look at it. I was like, man, now looking for a home was really fun. And this is the property I found. My favorite place to go fishing is right there in front of us. My favorite place to surf is to the right. And my favorite place to fly kites is right dead center in that little green patch. And that's where I bought my property. I bought my home and built it myself with no money. This is incredible, right? I didn't have money to build the home. And I bought the property it was incredible that I could even get the property. But then I was going to build a home and I couldn't do it. I tried 4 years, I couldn't do it. And finally on the 5th year, I realized that I didn't have an emotional connection to my home. And I finally changed my definite purpose in life statement. And it read, I will build a relationship with my dad and together we will build my home. And that's what I did, physically built the home. One thing I want to tell you, if somebody you know could do it, you can do it yourself. My friend Dwight Min built his own home. And I went to it, I said, what a beautiful home. And after that, I decided if he can do it, I can do it. So this is with huge labor. I don't know if anybody has done this kind of work before. It's all lava rock. So in order to drill all of the holes and plumbing and everything, I had to jackhammer the lava rock out and then lay down the foundation. Next slide. And pour the concrete. I did everything. We built the framework of the house. The next slide. over 2,000 square feet of marble in my home. Remember, I didn't have any money. It's amazing what happens when you believe. A hotel was finished, and the foreman actually called my friend and said, "Do you want any marble? We're almost giving it away. $1 a marble. That's cheaper than ceramic tile, the cheapest kind of flooring material. Cheaper than that." And I bought everything they had. I even have marble closets because it was cheaper to put marble than to put anything else, carpet or tile. And so I have marble in my closet, marble bathrooms, marble showers, and I laid it myself. Me and my friends went in and we learned how to lay marble. You can learn anything when you decide. All of the insulation in my home, free. A military job was finishing. They said, if you pick it up, you can have it as much as you want. We insulated my entire home. It's hard work, but it taught me patience. It taught me, I roofed my own home. And this is my beautiful view. I can see whales in front of my home. And so I just want to tell you, you have a magic genie. And how do I know it works? Results. How do you build a home with no money? And then I decided to be a millionaire. Next slide. And many of you might know my story with yo-yos, but I decided to be a millionaire with yo-yos. The next slide. So I created a very simple system to sell yo-yos like karate, and kids practice 10 tricks, they become white belt. 10 more tricks, yellow, green, eventually black belt. Next slide. It works so good in Hawaii, I brought the idea to Japan. Making $1 per yo-yo, my goal to sell 1 million yo-yos. My first year, I didn't sell 1 million, 10.5 million yo-yos in Japan. And so later on, during this next few weeks, we're going to talk about, what are your dreams? My dream right now is to end starvation in the world. This is 2 million orphans. We have ended starvation in Malawi, Africa. Next slide. We have created farms and now they are feeding themselves. Next slide. Steve Wong, Patty Acosta followed the philosophy of success. They learned it. How do you know? They're multi-millionaires. That's how you know, okay? And so I have trained maybe over 40 millionaires. So I want you to read this statement. Every adversity, every failure, every heartache carries with it a seed of equivalent or greater benefit. So my best businesses, yo-yo, came because I couldn't run. Kites, I became great at building them because I couldn't run. Everything in life is about this idea. Dreams so big, the next slide, they call you crazy. Right now, my dream to end starvation in the world. Patience, persistence, perspiration makes an unbeatable combination for success. Trust me, building my own home, I was sore every night. But it was the greatest gift to learn patience. And so tonight, I'm going to leave you before we get to the next slide. If you can unshare for a little while, we're going to actually do a type of meditation that will allow you to see your success. And so let me see if I can get this right here closed. Yeah. So we're going to do a meditation, and I want you to practice this meditation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually have you sit down with your hands in your lap, holding an object. We call this technique rock and bucket technique. And I'm going to, if you can record it, because then you can practice it all week long. So if you have a recorder next week, bring a recorder, because I'm going to do some very advanced training of meditation. But this is one of the ways to actually work on your skill of training your mind. So this is a technique from Thomas Alva Edison, and this is called the rock and bucket technique. In the day of Thomas Edison, trash bins were made out of steel, and he got a big rock in his hand, and he put it in his hand, and he closed his eyes, and he called it sitting for ideas. And this process, when he fell asleep, he would drop the rock and bang! And it would wake him up. He'd pick up the rock and go back into his position sitting for ideas. So what we need to do is relax our body and our mind so we can get into a state of alpha. And you can actually see alpha. If somebody watches you, if you watch the eyes, I can do it pretty quickly because I have like 35 years of practice. But if you look at my eyes, you might be able to see the flutter of the eyelids as I get into alpha. Not sure if you can see it, but this is what we're going to do. We're going to actually relax our mind, and I'm going to show you a process to learn how to see the picture you want. So you're not telling the genie, I want to be rich, but I don't have money. You have to actually only say one. So this is how you change your mind. Okay, how to program your mind for the positive picture that you want. I'm kind of worked up because I was doing the seminar, but I'm going to do this. So everybody get a pen. You cannot learn this by listening to it. You have to do it with me. Okay, so get a pen, put it between your legs, and if it falls during the process, pick it up and start again. It took me 2 months to get rock and bucket, and I actually ended up purchasing a steel bucket and getting a big rock, and that's how I finally learned it. And you have to sit up when you do it at the beginning. Okay, so close your eyes. And we're going to concentrate on our breathing. Three deep breaths. Visualize the color red. Relax. And feel relaxation rolling like a wave all the way down your body, all the way down to your feet. And as you feel red strawberry fruits rolling down your entire body, all the way down to your feet. And as you feel the color red, relaxation, let any stress, strain, worry, lack, limitation, any stress, physical stress out of your body all the way down to your feet. Visualize the color red. Visualize the color orange. Calm and still your mind and feel any negative emotions leave your body. Any fear, worry, loss. Orange is the color of emotions. clear any negative emotions out of your body. Anger, resentment, lack. Visualize the color yellow. Clear and empty your mind. Yellow is to still your mind, empty your mind. Yellow. Yellow bananas rolling down your entire body. Yellow, feel yellow rolling down. Empty all of the cellular memories. Let any of the negative memories empty out through your feet all the way into the ground and empty your mind. Visualize the color green. Let peace enter your life. A beautiful, peaceful forest, green bamboo, green moss on the rocks. Feel the force of nature all around you. Take a deep breath and feel the cool, misty air. And feel green. Green avocados rolling down your entire body. Feel nature enter your body. Green is the color of peace. Let peace enter your life. Visualize the color blue. The blue Pacific Ocean in Waikiki. Beautiful green and blue ocean. Let love enter your life. Blue is the color of love. Feel yourself now. Wrap your hands around yourself physically. Wrap your hands around yourself and feel love enter your life. I love myself. Take a deep breath. Visualize the color purple. Enter the quietest and deepest part of your mind. Purple. And now enter violet. The pink and purple colors mixed together, the high energy of violet. And enter this most creative part of your mind. And now in front of you, you see a big screen TV, flat screen, big high definition 3D. And around the screen of the mind, position black and white light bulbs. Black, white, black, white, black, white, all the way around the edge. Black, white, black, white, black, white. With the dark screen on, with the dark lights, the black lights on. Position your life and some of the things you don't like. Maybe it's an empty wallet. You don't have enough money. Or maybe it's a relationship that is strained. Difficult relationships. Maybe it's, an old car or an old home or, something that is not working well. You lost your job. Something material. Look at the material things that are not working. Maybe it's just not enough money in the bank. It's a deposit slip. See it as a picture. And maybe spiritual, not having the ability to give to others or give to the world. Or maybe it's just you have a craving to help elderly or battered women or whatever it is, your cause. And you just don't seem to be getting anywhere. Maybe your dream is just like so far away. So see a motion picture with the dark lights streaming around the screen. And now physically with your hand, so reach out your left hand and turn on a switch. Maybe it's a flip switch. Maybe it's like one of those big switches that they throw on in a big theater, like the big U-shaped handle, and you turn on the power. Or maybe it's just a push button. Turn on the white lights all around your screen. And now see it streaming around like Las Vegas. And now take a deep breath and put the perfect picture in your mind, the perfect picture in how you want things, the perfect money, your goal, the perfect home where you want to have, the beautiful relationships that you want, and how amazing they're working, and how much love there is, and your perfect dream. Maybe it's traveling around the world with your parents, or taking your kids to Disneyland, or enjoying your life, relaxing on the beautiful beach in Hawaii, and the perfect spirit connected with the spirit, and seeing yourself being of service to the world in your special way. Put that, all of those pictures with the white light streaming around the edge. This is the positive picture. This is what we're going to work on the next week. This perfect end result. Take a deep breath. The breath empowers your picture. So we did these meditations with my mentor. And now we're going to come back. Violet, purple, blue, green, yellow, orange. Back to the room, red. Back into our bodies, back on your chair. Pen still yet in your hand. And slowly blink your eyes open. Okay, everybody. Everybody's back. So I want you guys to get an original copy of the book, Think and Grow Rich. This is the original copy of the book, and I think I have a picture of it at the beginning of our slides. So we can turn on the slides. And we're going to get back. This week, I want you to write down tonight, before you go to bed, especially if you're in Vietnam right now, and it's early in the morning, still like maybe 12 noon, tonight before you go to bed, I want you to think about the perfect day. What would be the perfect day? And I want you to start to dream about the perfect day. Maybe it's time with your family, which maybe you're getting a lot of that right now. Maybe it's traveling to the beach, enjoying your life. Maybe bringing your parents on a cruise. What is the perfect day for you? And I want you to start to dream about that perfect day. So we're going to be giving you your homework assignment tonight. And that is, number one, to practice the rock and bucket technique during the week. Number two, to buy this book, Think and Grow Rich, and read it. And you want to read the first 3 chapters of the book, Think and Grow Rich. And I'd like you to buy the original version, 1937 copyright, because that has different words in it. I don't know about translated versions, but the original versions had slang, or the words were in the original language of like the little black child, like the little black girl. And in later versions, they changed the words to make it more appropriate, I guess, culturally acceptable words. But it changed the meaning of the book. And so my mentor really always had us get this original book. You can see it on my television in back here, Think and Grow Rich. You can get any of the original 1930 copyright. So next slide. So we're going to be talking about definite purpose in life statement and self-confidence formula and autos. We're going to get really deep into how to believe in your goals next week's Friday and Saturday for the different markets. The next slide. So this is really important that you take some time. If you can take a screenshot of this slide, and if our translators can get it out into your markets, I would like you guys to practice these things this week. This is how to think better. We have to think better. We have to discipline our mind. Later on, we're going to be talking about subconscious mind, and I'm going to show you really specific ways to discipline your mind. But this is our first step. You got to get the first step. You got to be able to meditate without sleeping. So rock and bucket. Pause between tasks. Take a breath. Create a morning ritual. We're going to be talking about that next week. Turn the radio, television, newspaper off. Practice single tasking, meaning don't eat and try to do your text messages. Don't drive and text, or don't, if you're talking with somebody, just be there for them. Learn to journal. Start your journal tonight. And let nature in. Walk, run in nature. Think. Take time to think. Run and think. Like, do something physical so you can get your mind to stop and think. And we wanted to end tonight with, why are we doing this? And I can tell you, the best thing about learning how to do this method, like what my mentor taught me to gain your goals, is not only to become a millionaire. The best thing is that when you learn to do it, you can teach it to your kids. Don't think you can do this with your kids if you don't do it yourself. It's not possible. You have to be the example. And for all of you that have teams, you have to be the example for your team. And this takes practice and work, and there is no shortcuts. You have to, this next 4 weeks, we are going to work towards this amazing task. But my son set a goal with a definite purpose in life to win the world championship in yo-yos. And he became, in Shanghai, China last year, the world champion. And then as he was finishing off that goal, he said, my next goal is to sing. And I said, do you know how to sing? I've never heard him sing. And he said, not yet, but I'm going to learn. And I have a mission to sing and to do great things in the world with my music. And I said, okay, great. One of the greatest positions to be in is my position, where I can say, don't worry about getting a job. Do what you love to do, and then do something great for the world with that talent. Listen to those words. do what you love to do. And then use that talent, because if you probably love to do it, you love to do it often. And if you do it often, you get good at it. And if you get good at it, you will learn the talent can serve the world. There is a reason why you're really here. That is how you discover your dream. Did you hear what I just said? Write those words down. Do what you love. And then learn to figure out one way that doing what you love can help you do your business or help you do whatever it is. I love to cook. I cook for my teams all the time. I love to do this training, because for me, this is the greatest honor to my mentor. And I have many mentors. Thank you, Philip Chun, one of my mentors. And so we're going to end with this little song. My son, his first produced song with music video. And you guys can see this, what my son did. And then we'll be back to Philip to kind of close us out for the evening. Can you guys hear that? I can't hear it. Hey, Javier, I cannot hear. Hey, Rose, can you guys hear that? Hey, Rose,
We cannot hear
Javier.
There's no audio right now, Ellen. We're trying to figure it out. There's no audio.
Okay. All right, good. Because Laura's in the room. If Laura's playing it, she can't hear it.
Yeah, give me a second.
Okay, we'll fix it.
Take her out of the room. If you just take her out of the room, I'm sure you can hear it. Yeah. I don't know if you can take her out and leave everybody else in though.
Well, I think Javier's actually gonna put it on his. He
Okay.
can do it. Yeah.
Have you ever wondered where the waves have gone? Well, my friends, they're all around. Have you ever wondered
So I mean, well, I mean, I think one of the greatest gifts is to have, give this gift to your kids. So I just want to remind everybody that, well, really, our today was really just about thoughts are things that you can realize that your thoughts make your reality. And as you can see from just the results from making my Lincoln Continental to making my shop from $80 a day to $2,000 a day, making building my home with no money, traveling around the world really with very little money at that time, and then deciding to become a millionaire and then making millions and now earning over 34 million. And this seminar is open for everyone in all of the language. And we easily can put, a lot of our friends and a lot of our families onto it. So we just want to invite you to please invite some of your family, your friends, and maybe other team members that may want to get this training, because really the beginning starts next week as we get into the definite purpose in life, the number one most powerful tool that I learned from my mentor, and number two, how to believe in yourself. And those are really critical, as I think Philip has been teaching a lot of people in Type 5. So anyway, back to you, Philip. Thank you so much for providing this forum and this opportunity. And I'm having the time of my life over here to give you guys this information.
Wow, Alan, you are amazing. I don't feel you are online. I think you are sitting in front of me and teaching me. Very good. So I want to talk to you. I want to say a few words before we finish the meeting. And Alan believed himself to achieve his dream, and he got it. And his son also, Evan Nagel, he also believed that he would achieve his dream, and he got it. And then what about you? I think this is our turn right now. But the point is, we didn't learn this from school for so many years. I don't know why. We didn't learn this from school. Well, we read many books, but how much do we get from the books? And I think we are so fortunate that we have the grand student of Napoleon Hill, Alan Nagel, to teach us everything exactly. He's not just teaching, he practiced already. And he tells you the story, how to work it out within the next few formal classes. So, the things we learn today is not just about applied to our own business. It's applied to everywhere, to your relationship, to your business, and everything. So I suggest, as Alan Nagel said, this time we after the class, we better to do something before the next class. I remember to buy a book, to read the first 3 chapters, and then to meditate, and to write down your definite purpose. What do you want you really in your life? So let's do the homework, and also to invite your friends, your relatives, your loved one who really want to improve their lives. So what about let's put our hands together one more time to thank you, Alan Nagel. Yeah.
And all of our translators, thank you so much.
Exactly.
For amazing translations.
They are amazing, yeah. We want to say thank you to everyone, our translator, Chung Chiu Choi, Gladys, Phil and Gwen, Rose, and Laura, everybody. Yeah, thank you, everyone. So we see you next week. Thank you.
Well, I'm going to tell you the action really kicks in next week. We're going to be really a lot more on the philosophy side next week, because I just wanted today to be kind of introduce the topics of the mind and what it can produce. But next week, we're going to produce it in your life. So get ready, everybody. Aloha.
I think Javier wants to open the chat room for everyone to say goodbye,
Okay.
Javier, Yeah.
abierto el chat para que podáis decir adiós o decir alguna cosa. Así que podéis
Hi,
escribir en el
everyone.
chat
Open up
todo
the
aquello
whole
que
chat.
queráis.
You can only open
Hiện
the
ra
chat
mình
section.
tắt lại là
Everybody.
Xin chào tất cả các anh chị ha. Thì tuần tới vào thứ sáu tuần tới cũng
되게
cùng giờ
인사를
ngày
하시고
hôm nay
인사를 한 시간 가지도록 하겠습니다.
tham lệ ha.
cái trò chuyện
Everybody.